Hello friends, how are you? I once again in front of you with a fresh topic and fresh video in which we are going to discuss development of organizational psychology. As we are well aware that organizational psychology is a field where the theories and practices of psychology are applied in the organizational setup or in some institutional setup and study of human behavior in professional settings. Any field has to develop through its initial stage to present stage. So same is the case with the organizational psychology. So in this video, our focus will be how that organizational psychology has started in initiating years, what were the watershed events or what are the initiating points that led to the development of this new field and what is its current status. So we are going to discuss in short video the timeline of development of organizational psychology. So organizational psychology is a relatively, a younger field. It has no big history. There are various points, various initiating events that led to the emergence of this new, very important and beautiful field. Let us start with some historical introduction. As we all know, OP, I'm going to call organizational psychology in short as OP, deals with human behavior in organizational setup. The ultimate goal of this field is to adopt or achieve two things: the satisfaction of the employees and optimal production, or to achieve the goal of the organization. There are sub objectives also, such, such as reduction of attrition rate, very skilled employees, motivated employees, everything. These are sub objectives. The major objective or ultimate goal is the people or the individuals who are working in the organization are fully satisfied with their job, working conditions, and they work for the optimal production so that the organizational objectives can be achieved. That was the ultimate goal. As I discussed, it is not a very old field, it's a relatively younger field because it was started in the initial decades of 20th century. What are the two events that led to this new field? Any subject or discipline acquires its prominence with academic outputs. In this area also, two, you call as a honest psychologist or applied psychologist, that is Walter Dill Scott and Hugo Musterberg. 1903, Walter Scott published a book named as The Theory of Advertising, and Musterberg published a book in 1910 known as Psychology and Industrial Efficiency. And these two books are considered as starting point of organizational psychology, and why these two books were written, there were certain things that were in their own field of interest. The two important points where I want to discuss here is the Industrial Revolution and World War One. These two events were focused on the requirement of study of human behavior in their work environment. That led to the writing of these two books and for the various outputs. What Scott focused in is the theory of advertising is application of psychology in business, while Musterberg talked about hiring right people for the job who have desired mental abilities. Desired means the mental abilities required for a particular job. So these are the two important points in the history of organizational psychology. The breakout of World War One opened the floodgates for development and emergence of organizational psychology. The large number of soldiers were positioned at various locations across the world. Organizational psychologists were employed to assess recruits, those are new recruits, and place them accordingly, according to their mental abilities, for which branch of militaries they are fit for. They were assessed using two important tests, that is alpha and beta test. Alpha was for the literate, those soldiers who were literate, and beta for those illiterate. See, during this field, the psychometric testing or psychological testing also was that is simultaneously developing. That is the reason these two tests were developed and applied for the assessment of the individuals. Thomas Edison, you are very well aware about him, was very quick to understand the importance of psychological assessment, and what he done is consequently organized a 150 item knowledge test. For that knowledge test, almost 900 people applied, and it is very interesting to know, sorry, only 45, that is 5%, could go through or pass through the test. So he was very keen and very quick to understand that psychological assessment is a very important field. Organizational psychology started to take deep roots in diverse field. See, scientists also, those pure scientists, they also start taking the importance, understanding the importance of psychological assessment. And this means that organizational psychology was spreading its roots slowly into various and diverse fields. Then comes one more, Gilbert couple. You can see the image here. These were the Gilbert couples, who are the prominent scientists. Who are they? Who contribute in the development of OP. They focus to improve productivity and reduce fatigue. See, they have focused two things: to improve the productivity of the organization and reduce the fatigue of the employees working in the organization by studying the motion used by the workers. In the third decade of 20th century, that is 1930s, organizational psychology expanded its scope with very rapid rate. The Hawthorne studies at Hawthorne plant of Western Electric Company, Chicago, it's a very famous study in field of organizational psychology or applied psychology, prompted psychologists to study the quality of the work environment and attitude of the employees. Yes, it's contributed majorly to the field of organization as well as applied psychology. What was that contribution? It was that it inspired other psychologists to increase their focus on human relations in the workplace and to explore the effect of employee attitude on the output of productivity and their interpersonal relations and various other variables. So that was the major contribution. It inspired, motivated other psychologists to study these important variables which were neglected till today. See, the field of human resource management, which is very important department in almost every large or small industries, what they do is, that is the only field or the department that apply psychological practices. For what they do is, major issue is a fair selection techniques for the employees. Along with that, they develop various things: interpersonal relations also, work environment setting also, and the right people, people with right attitude, right aptitude, training and development, everything they do it. But what they do is, major focus is fair selection techniques, where individual who has the right aptitude or right attitude can be selected or recruited for the work, that so that the maximum and optimal production can be achieved. That is the main role of HR department of various organizations. The 1960s were characterized by the use of sensitivity training and T groups. T group is laboratory training groups for managers. That was also a very important field. B.F. Skinner in 1970, in Beyond Freedom and Dignity, he written a book, advocated the use of behavior modification techniques in organizations. This means what B.F. Skinner has said, that in organizations behavior can be modified using behavior modification techniques, so that the organization achievement and goal can be achieved well in time. Then come the decades of 80s and 90s, witnessed four major changes in organizational psychology, which I am going to discuss in the next slide. What were that? That was the increased usage of statistical techniques and methods of analysis for the data that collected. That is very important, where the computers also came into the scene. Then second, the change was immense interest in the application of cognitive psychology to industry. The particular field here focused, that is cognitive psychology to the industry. The effect of work on family life and leisure activities. How the individual working in the organization, that working system affects the family life of that employees, and during leisure how they behave, and that leisure activities are influenced by the work life. That was the major change. And finally, recruitment and selection of right people for the right job. What the job requires is, as that traits the individual have, or that skills the individual have. To do that, organizational psychology has put up various efforts, and this was a major change in the development of the organizational psychology. The development of cognitive ability tests, such as personality test, personal test was projective or non-projective test, other psychological tests, psychometric developments proved to be major contributor in the development of OP. How it has affected? Now individuals were being recruited, selected for educational classification and all. They were being tested through psychometric, standardized, reliable and valid tests, and that proved to be a very effective. It affected organizations in several aspects, such as better working environments. These tests gave some outputs, and these outputs were applied in the fields where working environment was improved. Ergonomics was improved. There was a focus on gender issues and diversity of workforce, psychological traits of individuals, mental health of employees, etc. and etc. Various aspects were being covered in the organizational psychology through various testing techniques, and these and further they were improved to the very micro level, and they found that the results were astonishing, where small changes can be very contributory in the development or achievement of the organizational goal. The first decade of 21st century was a very interesting technological, you call it a revolution, came into being, changed the paradigms of OP, and exponential growth in computer technology brought up new wide scope for the not only OP, various subjects. Computers used in administration of tests with unbelievable speed and almost perfect accuracy. There was no time lagging. Computers were accurate, and the softwares were designed, programs were created for the administration of the test. It has been used in automation techniques, better design of machine, that machine which suit the human beings. Employees were trained through e-modules. A communication was at its best with lightning speed. And see that old, what I said in this previous line, the first line of this slider, this 21st century first decade is changed the whole paradigms of organizational psychology. Dear friends, this was the development of organizational psychology. There were the references from where I've taken my this material. Our next lecture will be objectives of the guidance, and by the time, if you have any doubt or any critical comment, you can email me at vermasujit@yahoo.com. Dear friends, till the time, thanks, and we are going to meet soon with our next video, that will be objectives of the guidance. Thank you for watching this video. One thing I want to say, if you like this video, share with your friends. If you dislike it, share with me. You, not video. That is, you have to share your comments why you dislike that. So once again, keep watching Dr. Rajesh Verma's videos concerning education and improving your understanding. Thank you once again.